video is for anyone who's interested in the Research for Novel Approaches grant program. My name is Kali McPeters, and I'm the manager for this and one other grant program here at Northeast SARE. My previous professional and lived experience has been primarily research-based, evaluating market channel selection for Vermont vegetable producers, and investigating the impact of policy decisions and local purchasing incentives at the institutional level. I enjoy managing the Research for Novel Approaches program because it attracts proposals that are new and inventive in their approach to sustainable agriculture. The program was born out of the desire to fund new practices and approaches that need additional testing or refinement before recommending for farmer adoption. The work that comes out of this program is of strong interest to farmers across the Northeast, and producer need is central to all successfully awarded projects. Research for Novel Approaches shares the same applicant eligibility requirements of our other two large grant programs. However, it does not require an educational component and does not use performance targets as a metric to track adoption or behavioral change. It is a purely research-driven funding track that supports work that demonstrates a high likelihood of farmer adoption in the near future. It is important to make the distinction that this grant program does not fund exploratory research. There is $1.75 million available in total funding this year. Funded projects are typically in the $30,000 to $200,000 range and run 2 to 3 years in duration. This is one of Northeast SARE's most competitive grant programs. On average, we expect to receive around 80 pre-proposals, of which a little over 1/3 will be invited to submit a full proposal. Of those that do submit full proposals, we typically expect around 30% will be funded, often in the 8 to 10 total projects. This grant program is for researchers who work with farmers looking to fund proof of concept projects. Project leaders can be personnel from agricultural and community nonprofit organizations, federal agencies, for-profit business entities, tribal governments, or colleges and universities, to name a few. By proof of concept, we mean that evidence from prior experiments or pilot projects strongly suggests that a practice or approach is beneficial and feasible, but that additional testing or data is needed before recommending for adoption. This includes practices or approaches that have been proven successful outside of the Northeast, but require additional testing or refinement to make it beneficial to farmers in our specific region. When applying, keep in mind that successful Research for Novel Approaches proposals need to clearly explain the gap in research results that currently prevent the promotion of the practice. Strong proposals need to include a clear path for adoption by farmers should the research prove the approach is feasible. For this reason, novel approaches that have a high likelihood for success but depend on a cost-prohibitive technology would not be competitive unless a plan was in place to make the technology accessible for the average grower. My tip for potential applicants is that you should always be conscious to write your proposal with the reviewers in mind. Plan to write for a mixed audience and assume that reviewers have agricultural knowledge, but not necessarily deep expertise in your proposal subject area. Because of this, it is best to keep the writing clear and simple and to avoid too technical of jargon. To provide you with an example of a strong Research for Novel Approaches proposal, I want to take some time to discuss the recently funded project that supports the Ujamaa Cooperative Farming Alliance. UCFA is a collective of BIPOC seed growers seeking to enhance the market viability of culturally meaningful, regionally adapted seed in the Northeast to strengthen the cultural appropriateness and the climate resilience of our food system. The project is led by University of Vermont-based PI Daniel Tobin, with a sub-award to STEAM Onward, an organization that oversees the UCFA. I'd like to go over some points of why reviewers thought this was a strong proposal. Establishing farmer interest is central to all successful Research for Novel Approaches projects. It is important that your application makes the case that farmers are asking for this work, and also that there will be a high potential for adoption should the approach be proven beneficial. The Ujamaa project presented both regional and state-specific survey data and also cited conference and workshop attendance numbers as evidence to support a high level of farmer interest in their planned work. Additionally, the project is farmer-driven and growers are embedded in every phase of project development and planned research activities. Through biweekly meetings and the development of farmer-led research team, The project intentionally makes space for meaningful engagement and feedback from farmer stakeholder groups. Reviewers appreciated the project's emphasis on building trust and mutual support networks for the growers involved in the work. As mentioned, successful novel approaches projects need to bridge a knowledge gap that prevents the practice or approach from being adopted today. In this case, the proposal made clear to reviewers why further value chain research was needed to support the development of a market for culturally meaningful seeds. The project fulfills the proof of concept framework by building on successful models of the Global South, where impoverished smallholder farmers have successfully linked culturally meaningful crop varieties to competitive market opportunities. By adapting strategies of pro-poor value chain development, the project aims to establish a methodology for other agricultural producers to develop markets for products containing important social and cultural value, in addition to economic and ecological value. Finally, a competitive novel approaches proposal needs to have a sound research design that includes treatments, methods, data collection and analysis that are well designed to test your research question and are easy for reviewers to understand. Reviewers agreed that the participatory mixed methods design of the highlighted project was well detailed and referenced back to clearly laid out project objectives. The data collection plan included an in-depth timeline of research activities and deliverables, making it easy for reviewers to assess what would be happening at each phase of the planned work. Whether your research is in the field, laboratory, or collected through focus groups and interviews, it is important to be as detailed as possible about your approach. If reviewers are left wondering about your experimental design, sample size, or data collection protocols, your proposal is likely to score less competitively than those that address these points.